Clara and Grace had always been the epitome of what friendship should look like. Their bond was rooted in their shared experiences at Enugu State University of Science and Technology, where they spent the formative years of their lives. Both were intelligent and ambitious, each carving her own path within the realm of education. Clara, with her calm and graceful demeanor, was pursuing a degree in guidance and counseling, hoping to make a difference in the lives of troubled youth. Grace, on the other hand, was studying economics, driven by her passion to understand the complexities of the world and make a meaningful impact on society. Their friendship was more than just a connection, it was an unspoken promise to be there for each other, no matter the circumstances. However, their bond was tested by one man. Okun, a handsome and charismatic student from Calabar, entered both their lives in seemingly innocent ways. He was charming, attentive, and everyone around him seemed to adore him. At first, it was innocent, he was simply the life of the party, someone both Clara and Grace enjoyed being around. They never suspected that Okun's intentions were anything but pure. To them, he was a good friend, someone they could rely on. What neither of them realized was that Okun was playing a dangerous game of deception. He had fallen for both of them, and instead of making a choice, he decided to string them both along. He manipulated their emotions, making each of them believe that they were the one he truly loved. Okun's charm was his weapon, and both Clara and Grace were unsuspecting targets. Their relationship with him progressed without them ever knowing about the other. Okun had his reasons for keeping both women in the dark. Clara, coming from a wealthy family, was someone who could provide him with financial stability and status. Grace, on the other hand, was more grounded and nurturing, someone who gave him the comfort and emotional support he craved. He convinced himself that he could balance both relationships, never suspecting that one day the truth would come to light. As the years went by, Okun's feelings for Clara began to outweigh his affection for Grace. He was drawn to her elegance, the way she carried herself with such grace, and the fact that she came from a prominent family that could open doors for him. He began to dream of a future with Clara, but the guilt of deceiving both women weighed heavily on him. Still, he couldn't bring himself to end things with Grace, who had always been there for him. She was kind, supportive, and loving, and he knew that breaking her heart would be just as devastating as losing Clara. One day, Grace told Clara that she would be visiting her mother in the village, but the truth was far from that. Grace had made plans to spend the weekend at Okun's house, unaware that fate was about to change the course of their friendship forever. That evening, Clara, stranded in the city due to a sudden downpour, decided to spend the night at Okun's place. She called him to let him know, expecting him to be there, but when she arrived, Okun was nowhere to be found. She decided to wait for him, but she couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in her stomach. Her curiosity led her to notice a towel and a pair of underwear that looked remarkably like Grace's. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. and she couldn't ignore the feeling of betrayal. She confronted Ocken, who quickly made up a story, claiming that the items belonged to his sister who had recently left. Clara, trusting him as she always had, decided not to dig deeper. She believed him, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Graduation came, and life after university proved to be a whirlwind of new beginnings. Ocken moved to the United States to pursue his career as a nurse, while Clara, with her family's connections, got engaged to him. Ocken's love for Clara was genuine, but it was also based on the material comforts that came with being part of her world. He asked her to marry him, and she accepted without hesitation. Meanwhile, Grace, heartbroken but determined to find happiness, was introduced to Ocken's friend, Bright. They quickly formed a bond, and soon enough, they were married. Grace moved to the United States, leaving behind the past and starting a new life with Bright. Life in America wasn't easy, but Clara and Grace managed to settle into their new worlds. Clara, though married to Ocken, felt a growing emptiness within her. She couldn't get pregnant, no matter how hard she tried, and this began to eat away at her. Every time she saw Grace, who had 3 beautiful boys, the jealousy festered inside her. Clara couldn't understand why she, who seemed to have everything else, couldn't have the one thing she truly wanted, children. The pain of seeing Grace's happiness only intensified her feelings of inadequacy. Ocken's death was the final blow for Clara. She was left a widow, childless, and with no direction in her life. Grace, ever the compassionate friend, insisted that Clara come stay with her and Bright. Although Bright was hesitant at first, he agreed out of his love for Grace and his understanding of how much Clara had suffered. Clara moved into their home, but the pain of losing Ocken and her unresolved jealousy toward Grace began to manifest in unhealthy ways. Clara resented Grace's happiness, and she couldn't help but feel that she had been wronged by life. As time went on, Clara began to manipulate situations to her advantage. She tried everything she could think of to get closer to Bright, whom she saw as her last chance for happiness. She tried poisoning Grace and the children's food, but each time, Grace seemed to somehow escape disaster. What Clara didn't know was that Grace had become suspicious of her and had secretly placed cameras around the house. Grace was aware of Clara's attempts to destroy her family, but she was patient and strategic, waiting for the right moment to confront her. Finally, that moment came. One evening, Grace told both Clara and Bright that she was traveling to the village to visit her mother. Clara, seizing the opportunity, snuck into Bright's bedroom in the middle of the night. She tried to seduce him, hoping to finally get what she wanted. But what Clara didn't realize was that Grace had been secretly watching her every move. Grace had snuck into the boys' quarters, ready to catch Clara in the act. As Clara entered Bright's bedroom, she was confronted by Grace, who had witnessed everything. Clara was shocked, her heart pounding in her chest, as Grace demanded she leave immediately. In that moment, Clara realized the enormity of her actions. She had lost everything: her friend, her integrity, and her chance at happiness. Grace, though hurt and betrayed, found the strength to stand her ground. She had been through enough to know that some relationships could not be salvaged, especially when built on lies and deceit. Clara was escorted out of Grace's home that night, her heart heavy with regret. As she walked away, Clara couldn't help but reflect on how far she had fallen. She had allowed her jealousy, her desire for revenge, and her insecurities to cloud her judgment. She had lost her best friend, a woman who had once been her sister. The realization came too late. In trying to tear apart Grace's life, she had destroyed her own. The cost of betrayal was far higher than Clara had ever imagined.